Hello, my name is Glenda and today I'm making a Peacock feather soap. Here's the recipe, and if you want to look at it, I'm going to put a link in the description box to the blog post that will include the recipe. And I have also prepared beforehand the colorant, which is Lily Pad Green Mica from Crafter's Choice. I mixed it ahead in some oils and I keep it in a container so that when I'm ready to use it, it's already mixed with oils and it will be easier to dissolve. Here is the oil blend, and it is currently at 98 degrees Fahrenheit. I am trying to work in low temperatures today so that the soap batter will remain thin for this technique. I prepared the light water solution ahead, which is just distilled water with sodium hydroxide, and that is at 78 Fahrenheit and 26 Celsius. And in case you're in Europe, the oils are at 36 degrees Celsius. The swirl technique that I will be using is the secret feather swirl. However, I'm going to be incorporating an embed, which is the eye of a peacock, which I made with soap dough, and they look like this. In my last peacock feather soap, I did have a video on the making of these embeds. It was a similar process, except this year I think it was simpler. I wasn't so concerned about precision, and it was just pretty much like doing a cane and then grabbing it with the next color. This was another attempt at a peacock feather soap that didn't turn out too good, and my first attempt was this one. So it seems that every year I try to make a peacock feather swirl, and hopefully one of these days I'll get it right. So I'm going to try to only reach emulsion, and hopefully it doesn't take long to reach it. So I did 3 bursts, and I'm going to stir. And I don't know if you can see it, but there's little droplets, little dots, where you can see the metal shaft. That's when it's breaking, so it's not emulsified yet, of course, because I just started. But ideally, I'm not gonna see any more of those little dots once it has reached emulsion. So I did 3 pulses. I'm going to stir it, and every so often I'm gonna just check on it. And here I'm analyzing and trying to see if the little dots that I see are air bubbles that just popped or if it's the oil breaking. Okay, not there yet. I'm gonna let this sit for a little while, and I'm going to measure the fragrance. It's apples and oak. It's supposed to be a well-behaved fragrance to do intricate swirls. I measured 2 ounces, which was about 6% of the oils. And now that the soap is curing, it feels a little bit soft. You can still smell it, but I may use 5% of the total batch next time for a stronger scent. Still separating, I can see little dots. Okay, these 2 little dots are air bubbles, but it seems I have reached emulsion because it's not breaking apart anymore. And yeah, it's not a trace. If anything, very, very lightly. So I'm going to go ahead and add the fragrance. And I'm just going to stir the fragrance in. I'm not going to blend it. Once I felt the fragrance was well distributed, I went ahead and I divided the soap batter into a different container. I separated about 9 ounces to be colored with the green mica, and then I separated about 6 ounces, and that one I just left it on the side just in case I needed more at the end of either color. The two colors will be white or off-white, which will be the portion that I don't add any colorants to, and then the green. Last time I made this soap, I had too much of the green and not enough of the white. And I can tell now that the soap batter, it's at a very light trace, which I think is good. It's not accelerating or getting too thick too fast. So I first added a layer of the uncolored portion at the bottom. Then I have this small thin that I made with polymer clay. It's kind of like a half of a cylinder, and I made it just so that I could put layers of soap on top of the previous layer without it sinking it through, instead of using a spatula, because this is a tall and skinny mold and my spatula doesn't quite fit all the way there, or at least not at the same angle. Usually a successful secret feather swirl uses dividers, and that keeps the center pour straight, like it doesn't go to the edges. However, I have also seen it done without dividers, so I thought this time I wouldn't use dividers, but it did give me a harder time trying to keep my layer center. And after making this soap, I decided I wasn't gonna try to do a secret feather swirl technique soap ever again. I may change my mind, but if I can help it, I'm going to try to find a different technique to make it in the future. And I believe that my mistake, or the reason why I felt that I wouldn't want to make it again, is because it took so long, being that I was putting very thin layers of both the uncolored portion and then the green. I think if I had gone thicker with either one of those, maybe if I had gone thicker with the uncolored portion, which would be white, maybe it wouldn't have taken so long to fill the mold and I wouldn't have gotten tired of it. And I think this would have helped the soap design as well, because there would have been a better distinction and more contrast in between the layers if they are more separated, if one of them is thicker than the other. So I'm gonna run out of the green, and at this point I need to make them wider, because this is the point where the eye of the feather is going to be. So I'm gonna grab the part that I didn't color. Looks kind of thick, but I think it's going to work. I don't need a whole lot, but I'm gonna put some here. Add more of the color. So the next layers, which I don't think I got them all in film, I did try to make them thicker so that when I put the embed, these layers will go around the embed like a real peacock feather eye would look like. At this point I was also running out of soap, but it still worked out because the embed is going to push some of the soap up to the surface, so it will still be full. And then it was time to do the actual feather swirl. We're going to go down, then to the, I'm gonna go like this, down and to the edge and up, hopefully fast so that it creates a good motion. Alright, that on the other half. Probably do the opposite side on this one. And now, let's try to place this on the center. It might sink. I think it's fine. Then I added the remaining two canes. I found that it works best for me if I have shorter canes than trying to make something that is as long as the mold. I find it easier to manipulate and handle. And Once I figured out they were not sinking all the way, I gave them a little push and I tried to center them prior so that they will be on the top half of the soap, but they wouldn't stick out from the top either. And then I just scraped all of my containers and poured all of the soap on top. I just had a last minute idea to add some shamrock and Viro glitter to whatever I have left of the green to be on top. So after mixing this mica into this little bit of soap, I blended it with the remaining green batter that is on the top right corner so that I will have more, and then I just use it to make a quick design on top of the soap so it wouldn't be completely plain on top. And this is what it looked like in the end. So today's Wednesday, and I made this on Sunday. I put it in the freezer for a couple hours so that it's easier to remove. And it still was not easy to remove it from the mold. This is probably my third time using this tall and skinny mold, and it seemed it didn't want to release or break the seal, but finally it did. If you have any tricks on removing soaps from this mold, let me know. After removing it, I did let it air out a little bit so that it will come back to room temperature. And the first bars I cut with a knife because my cutter, the wire on it, broke. I was actually surprised on how they turned out to be. It was in some ways better than I expected, and in some others not as good as I wanted them to. But overall, I'm pleased with them. Thank you for visiting my channel. I will see you next time. Bye.